Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 8 advanced writing, more like high school advanced writing lesson on vague pronoun references. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts. We're doing grade 8, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of vague pronoun reference. All right. So our chapter is vague pronoun references. Our subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 8 high school advanced writing. And then the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of vague pronoun reference, it's to identify vague pronoun references. All right, so our chapter is vague pronoun references. Our subject is English language arts, like we said. We're doing grade 8 advanced writing. And then the lessons that we are going to be focusing on is to identify vague pronoun references and to identify all the possible antecedents. All right, so when writing, you need to make sure to avoid vague pronoun references. So when you write, then it means you need to avoid vague pronoun references. And a vague pronoun reference occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent. And a vague pronoun refers when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent. That is a vague pronoun reference. When it can refer to more possible antecedent, but that is why the word vague is there. You don't know, it's confusing. All right. So when writing, we need to make sure to avoid vague pronoun references. And a vague pronoun reference, it occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent. And we're going to look at examples of vague pronoun references. All right. And when we look at an example, right, where we use a vague pronoun reference, and then it says, when Lisa and Kim finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. So when Lisa and Kim finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. And if we look at that sentence, right, basically Lisa and Kim, they are girls or they are females. So if you say she breathed a sigh of relief, and then that is a vague pronoun reference because we don't know who the she refers to. Does it refer to Kim or does it refer to Lisa that both get off from a plane? Because it says she breathed a sigh of relief. So now the question is who? Is it Lisa or Kim? All right. So, in order for us to avoid the pronoun reference, where, for example, we did an example of when Lisa and Kim finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. Because now the question is who? Which one breathed a sigh of relief? Because both Lisa and Kim are females or they are girls. So, any one of them can breathe a sigh of, of relief. So, in order for us to basically correct our pronoun references, right? Because based on the example that we made, or let's say the example that we had about Lisa and Kim, both those words, right? We said both women or ladies or girls or females. All right. So now, in order for us to fix a pronoun reference, right, that is usually unclear, if we want to fix a vague pronoun reference, and that is why we have the word, that is why the word is a vague pronoun reference. We can either replace the pronoun with its correct antecedent. For example, we can either say when Lisa and Kim finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. All right. And then the second way in which we can basically replace, or we can, let's say, correct our vague pronoun reference is to rewrite the sentence. Rewrite the sentence. And then it says, Lisa breathed a sigh of relief when she and Kim finally landed. All right. So then when it comes to vague pronoun references, right, they also occur when they, them, they, theirs, it, or it is used without an antecedent. So for example, they say that this nail polish dries in less than 5 minutes. They say that this nail polish dries in less than 5 minutes. All right. So it's not just the person's name. You can also use words like they, them, they, theirs, and it. And if you use it right without its antecedent, then that is a vague pronoun reference. And the pronoun they, if you look at the pronoun they, that is being used without an antecedent, so the meaning of the sentence should then be unclear. For example, they say this nail polish dries in less than 5 minutes. Another question is who is they? All right. And remember, if you look at this sentence, it says they say, and the they can refer to either manufacturers, can refer to shop owners, people working at the shops, right? That is what the they is, and that is why they within that sentence, it is used without an antecedent. All right, so now we're going to A plus students.ca, and we're going to identify vague and pronoun references. And we're also going to identify all the possible antecedents within the lesson. Oh gosh, sorry. All right, so once again, we said when writing, you need to make sure to avoid pronoun references. And a vague pronoun reference occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent. That is a vague pronoun reference. And we made an example of when Lisa and Kim finally landed, she breathed a sigh of relief. Both Lisa and Kim was flying together and both of them got out off the plane. So now the question is who breathed a sigh of relief, right? So which means that if it's not specific, then that is a vague pronoun reference. And we can replace a vague pronoun reference and can be corrected in two ways, either by number one, replacing the pronoun with the correct antecedent, or number two, rewriting the sentence. All right, so pronoun once again. So the pronoun they, if we were to look at the one that I made an example of, the earrings, right? The nail polish, sorry, in less than 5 minutes. All right. If we look at an example, right, or let's say an activity, it says we need to say which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference. Here it says when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, his arm was injured. Just look at the sentence. It says when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, his arm was injured. All right, and it says when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, his arm was injured. So now the question is whose arm? All right. So yeah, if you look at this one, it says when Jake tackled Tim during the football game. Both of them are boys, male, he. But now it says his arms was injured. And now the question is whose arm was injured? All right. Let's go to the next one. It says protesters want them to raise salaries and increase employment benefits. All right. It says the protesters want them to raise salaries and increase employment benefits. All right. And yet it says when we hear the like when we look at the sentence that says the protesters want them to raise their salaries and increase employment benefits, that can refer to either the people that they work for, right? It's like your executives, your bosses, and so on. And then after Mr. Ellison finished performing with Mr. Wilson, Maria went up and thanked him. That is also a pronoun reference. All right. Now we're going to our test. It says, which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference? Option one, they say that diesel cars have better fuel economy than cars powered by gasoline. Or option two, experts say that diesel cars have better fuel economy than cars powered by gasoline. And if we were to select the vague pronoun reference, we would choose option 1. All right. It says, which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference? It says, when Jake tackled Tim during the football game, his arm was injured. Or do we say, when Jake tackled him during the football game, Tim's arm was injured? All right, and we chose the first option, option 1. The next one says the protesters want them to raise the salary and increase employment benefits. All right. It says the protesters want them to raise salaries, increase employment benefits. Option 1 and option 2 says the protesters want the company's executives to raise salaries and increase employment benefits. All right. And now it says the protesters want them, didn't we do this one? To raise salaries. I think we did this one. Yes. All right. And it says after Mr. Ellison finished performing with Mr. Watson, Maria winked up and thanked him. Or do we say option 2, after Mr. Ellison finished performing with Mr. Watson, Maria went up and thanked Mr. Elliot. We need to select the pronoun, the vague pronoun reference. Oopsie. And if we were to select the correct one, we'll choose option 1. A vague pronoun reference is when you don't say specifically who did it. All right. And now, lastly, it says which of the following contains a pronoun reference? All right. And we need to say which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference. The airline lost Lisa's baggage. All right. Which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference? And remember, vague pronoun reference is not when you're being specific. All right. And yes, if we were to select the correct option, we would say option one, yes, is correct. Remember, vague pronoun reference, we don't use the specific names. Well done. Option one is correct. The next one says, which of the following contains a vague pronoun reference? Option one, Mike, did you ask them if the flu vaccination is available yet? All right. And if we were to choose the correct one, it says number one says the first option, Mike, did you ask them if the flu vaccination is available yet? Or option two, Mike, did you ask the nurses if the flu vaccination is available yet? All right. And here it says, Mike, did you ask them if okay, and then the one that we're going to choose that is correct, yes, would be the first one. Because the second one, he's being specific. He's specifically saying, ask the nurses, but the vague pronoun reference, it is vague. It doesn't, it can be any person that you're gonna ask. It's option one. Yes, so well done. Option one is correct. Well done. Now we're going to identify all the possible antecedents within our sentences. It says, when writing, make sure to avoid vague pronoun references. A vague pronoun reference occurs when a pronoun could refer to more than one possible antecedent, meaning it can be any person, right? Any person, anything that you're actually making mention of. And there we have another example of Lisa and Kim getting off the plane. And we can once again replace that or correct it one way or the other by either replacing the pronoun with the correct antecedent, or we can rewrite the sentence. All right. So now we're going to our test. where we are going to identify all the possible antecedents within our sentence, how it can be corrected. And it says, Steve signed up for the turkey trot with his brother and was surprised when he came in first. And now it says, is it he, Steve? So Steve signed up for the turkey trot with his brother and was surprised when he came in first. He or Steve? We need to select the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun reference. Option 1, he or Steve. All right. He refers to Steve. All right, let's try he. If not, then it's Steve. Ah, it is Steve. One of that two. All right, so it's Steve. All right, let's go on to the next one. The antecedent is the person or the thing that we are making mention of, right? It's the person or the thing that we're making mention of. Like, for example, Steve doing the action, Rebecca doing the action, Lisa doing the action. So Rebecca made mint chocolate chip ice cream with her sister, even though she generally prefers fruit flavored sorbet. What is the and the correct sorry the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun within the sentence? What is the correct antecedent within the sentence? Is it Rebecca, option one, or is it sorbet? She, sorry. Rebecca or she. And if we were to select the correct option, we will choose Rebecca, the first one. All right. It says in the late 1800s, Nellie Bly was known for her newspaper reports about the poor working conditions women faced. So now we need to select the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun within the sentence. Is it her or Nellie Bly? Option one or option two? All right, and if we were to select the correct option, we would say Nelly Bly is our correct antecedent. All right, the last one says, have you ever played with a Rubik's Cube? It is a 3D puzzle invented by Ern Rubik in 1974. So we now need to select the correct antecedent of the vague pronoun within the sentence. Is it option one, it, or option two, Rubik's Cube? All right, and if the we were to select the correct option, then yes, we will choose Rubik's Cube, which is our correct antecedent, the focus within our sentence. All right, so when it comes to our vague pronoun reference, remember within a sentence, we need to be able to choose the correct antecedent, right? So if there's a, let's say for example, there's two ladies that we are making mention of, then we cannot just make mention of she, rather write the person's name or correct the antecedent by being specific, right? Because if somebody's supposed to wonder who or what you are talking about, then that is basically a vague pronoun reference. All right, so this is the end of our lesson on vague pronoun reference. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope you're going to have a good evening further. Goodbye, and thank you.